These are kind of some general limits that you'll see often. These are pretty common. So what happened is George wanted to celebrate his 10-year anniversary of selling wings to the greater Concord, New Hampshire area. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm making it up as I go. That's okay. But so George hosts his wing shindig thing in the park. He likes words that sound similar. So he sets up his mobile kitchen at the pavilion, invites the whole town out. We're gonna have wings, and everybody's gonna have a great time. Well, during the event, something happened. His mobile kitchen caught fire, which caught the pavilion on fire. As the fire started to grow, some people were injured and some property damage occurred. So here's what happened. Here are the claims that have come in, and this is how they came in. So this is the order of how the claims came in. The owner of the park, the county said, well, you did $25,000 of damage to our pavilion. We need that thing rebuilt. We need that paid for. Several people claimed some medical injuries. They had some actual medical expenses. The first one was $3,000. The second one was $5,000. The third one was $12,000. And then somebody else had some bodily injury and property damage at $200,000. And there was a fifth person. They had $500,000 in damages. The last two. They actually, the fire had spread to a couple of neighboring houses, and this was the damage that occurred. This was the bodily injury and property damage that happened based off of this one event. This was not a very good event for George. Hopefully he doesn't have these kinds of problems in the future when he's trying to sell wings to his wing-loving public. So, all right, so here's what was claimed, and then we're going to go down on the right side of the screen and see how things played out, what was paid, okay? So, keeping in mind, and I'm going to back up, okay? Here are the limits, okay? All right, so this is what was claimed. Here's what was paid. So the park owners, the county said, well, you did $25,000 damage to our pavilion. What did the policy pay out? Paid out $25,000 because that was within the limit of damage of premises rented to you of $100,000. All right, the first person that had the $3,000 worth of medical payments claimed, the medical expenses that were actually incurred, well, that paid out $3,000. What about number two? Claimant number two, who said $5,000 bill for medical? Well, that got paid out. What about claimant number three, who had a $12,000 bill for medical expenses? We're going to pay them $10,000. Keep in mind that you might think, well, why wasn't it $2,000 or $12,000? Well, it couldn't have been $2,000 because the medical expenses coverage is a per person coverage. So everything so far has been under that $10,000. So, and this third one, it was $10,000. They claimed $12,000. So the policy paid $10,000 for the limit. All right. Under claimant number four, for their bodily injury and property damage, they had a $200,000 claim. That was paid, no problem. That was easy enough. Claimant number five, on the other hand, they had a $500,000 claim. Maybe their attorney found out that George had a $500,000 occurrence limit, and that's what they filed for. But the only thing they're going to get is $257,000. Because that's what's remaining out of the occurrence limit of $500,000. All of this equals up to $500,000. And in one occurrence, that's the most that will ever get paid out. Consequentially, when all of this gets paid out, then the general aggregate limit that was $1 million is now reduced to $500,000 because this occurrence paid out the entire occurrence limit. So this is something that we need to keep in mind when you think about certificates of insurance. I know this isn't necessarily about certificates of insurance, but I want to touch this here. Certificates of insurance tell us what limits are available on the policy on the date that the certificate is issued. It doesn't take into account any claims that may have been paid out during that policy term that might reduce that general aggregate limit. So as soon as that certificate is issued, there is the potential that it's wrong because whatever aggregate limit it states may be used at some point during the policy term, at which point that aggregate limit is no longer available from that certificate, making the certificate old, out of date.